Welcome to CryptoBanter.com. I'm Crypto Man Run, coming to you live every day right here on CryptoBanter.com at 10 a.m. EST. Yep, we chose 10 a.m. EST so we could send our crypto wisdom all around the world. It's 7 a.m. on the West Coast. It's 10 a.m. in New York City, 3 o'clock in Europe and London, 5 o'clock in Africa, and we're ready to get this show on the road. And boy, oh boy, have we got a big show for you today. In fact, probably the biggest show we've ever done. So today we're going to be looking at whether Bitcoin actually did a head and shoulders. And if Bitcoin did a head and shoulders, is it time for us to run for the hills, to hibernate for another 2 years? That's the question that everyone's asking, and we're going to be answering that question right here today. Then Grayscale opens up deposits again. What does this mean? Does this mean that we're going to get more deposits and another bull run? Well, we're going to answer that today. And then best case scenario. We have an MIT blockchain professor replacing Jake Layton as the head of the SEC under President Biden, or at least those are the rumors. It's great news for crypto, but probably not that good news for XRP. And then yesterday I said to you, beware of the mainstream media. And I'm saying that to you again today. Beware of the mainstream media. We're going to help you navigate mainstream media versus crypto media today. Later on the show, we've got a whole lot of altcoin calls because we know you love those altcoin calls. That's why you come to CryptoBanter.com. And then we've got a small cap gem. Yeah, we've got a small cap gem that has a market cap of about $1 million or $2 million, depending on when you look. And it could have 100x potential. We're going to be featuring those guys live on our show today. Also, don't forget, we're giving away 1,000 Cardano tokens here on our show over the next couple of days. All you have to do is like, subscribe, bell button, and comment. And I'm going to choose random people out of the chat and out of the likes and hand out those tokens on the show. Yesterday, we had 3 winners. We gave away 300 Cardanos. And today, I'm probably going to give away a whole lot more. So this is CryptoBanter.com. If you like this content, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button now, because that is what gets this crypto content out to people. Like, subscribe, share. And of course, the most important thing is to hit that bell, because that bell tells you when I'm live on air. And now with the crypto markets going up and down like they are going, I'm going to be live on air quite a bit. So get there, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell, and of course comment, because then you can win some of the Cardano tokens. We have a huge show here for you today, so stay tuned. I'm Crypto Man Run. I'll see you straight after the break.
Crypto Banter is the world's first interactive social cast for the crypto community. Get the latest news, views, interviews, and live conversations with crypto enthusiasts from around the world. This is where you call in, you make the show, and you bring the banter. That's CryptoBanter.com, where you talk crypto.
Yeah, CryptoBanter.com, where you talk crypto, and I'm reminding you guys again, this is a call-in show. If you want to call in at any time to banter, to talk crypto with us, call in, join the show, give us your news. We know that this crypto universe is decentralized, and because it's decentralized, you can probably bring a lot of value to the show. So go to our website, which is www.cryptobanter.com, and hit the call-in button. And remember, of course, you can remain anonymous. All right, so let's move into the big story of the day. And the big story of the day was, of course, whether Bitcoin did hit this head and shoulders pattern. And if you guys watched the news or the crypto media yesterday, everyone was talking about this head and shoulders like it was the end of the world. If crypto hits a head and shoulders, we're going to break this bullish pattern and we're going to keep going down. And yesterday, we did a whole show for you on the fundamentals versus the pumpermentals. And if you remember our show yesterday, we said to you that the fundamentals for Bitcoin and Ethereum are stronger than they've ever been. Nothing has changed. The Democrats are still coming into power as far as I'm aware. Joe Biden is a money printing machine. And you can see that. I mean, if you look at the dollar index, let me call up the dollar index for you guys. This is a graph of the dollar index. Now, what this graph here shows is it shows the relative strength of the dollar to other currencies around the world. And you can see that the dollar is not doing very well. The dollar is actually getting weaker and weaker. And the reason why the dollar is getting weaker and weaker is because Joe Biden is going to print a whole lot of stimulus, a whole lot of money. If you think that the economy is fine and that this is indeed the last stimulus package, I'm going to tell you that you guys are very, very wrong. The US economy is completely broken. Whereas the markets are at all-time highs because there's been a whole lot of dollar printing and there's a whole lot more money in circulation. The economy for the man on the street is absolutely broken. People, restaurant owners, which make up a huge part of the US economy, their businesses have been closed. California is still in lockdown. They haven't opened since March. The economy is not okay. And the only way they're going to fix it is by printing more money, and more money means a weaker dollar. It means a devaluation of all the dollars in circulation, and that means better news for Bitcoin. And again, if you look at the dollar index today, the dollar index weakened today, and of course the Bitcoin price went up. No surprise. Also, we got some other news today which may affect the market, and that is, of course, news that the Grayscale Trust, which is the biggest buyer and the biggest holder of Bitcoin, is now opening deposits again. Many of their potential clients who have received mails in the past saying that they closed for a period of time now received a mail that says, I wanted to reach out to you guys and let you know that the following Grayscale Open products are open to subscription. And it lists a whole lot of products. But the one product that it doesn't list it doesn't list the Ethereum product. So what does this mean for Bitcoin, and should we actually get excited? Well, let's first understand what the Grayscale Trust is. The Grayscale Trust is a way for people to buy cryptocurrency without actually holding their own currency. It's one step before what they call an ETF or an electronically traded product. So the Grayscale take deposits from people and they buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other tokens, and they put them in a trust. And they get shares in the trust in return. And those shares are for sale on the open market. Now, by closing deposits into their trust, effectively what it meant was that Grayscale wasn't buying any more crypto, or certainly wasn't taking any more deposits. And that trust was closed for the last 2 months. In fact, I have been trying to get into that trust for the last 2 months, and I can't get in. And I got this mail this morning, which means that they've now opened up with deposits. What does this mean? Well, let's read the rest of this tweet. It says, or the rest of this email, it says, please note that due to significant interest in our products, applications may take 2 to 3 weeks to process. So we read two things there. One, there is a big backlog of people trying to buy Grayscale Trust products, which is amazing. It means there's going to be a whole lot of buying pressure. Two, the buying pressure is only going to come in about 2 to 3 weeks when all of these people are KYC'd and approved and ready to rock and roll on the networks. So my feeling is, let's start accumulating now. Let's start front running this trust. If we know the trust is going to be buying, then if we buy now, we buy before they buy. And when they buy, the prices start to go up. Couple that with what Barry Silbert said. Barry Silbert said that pension funds and endowments are also now buying the Grayscale Trust products. So I would start buying right now. Let's go back to the big news yesterday about this Head and Shoulders. Now, if you were watching crypto Twitter, if you're watching YouTube, you would have seen that it was panic stations. All the YouTubers had emergency announcements, huge warnings, critical warnings. This Bitcoin patent challenge changes everything. Guys, the fundamentals are exactly the same. Exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Bitcoin wallets, let me show you the graphs again. Bitcoin active addresses are at an all-time high. Ethereum active addresses are at an all-time high. Ethereum interest is at an all-time high. Bitcoin interest is almost at an all-time high. Institutions are starting to buy. They're starting to switch from gold into Bitcoin. The fundamentals are solid. And yes, we've run too fast and we've got to a parabola, but that's no reason to stop buying Bitcoin. In fact, this is a true case of going to buy the dip. I don't know if you guys heard Jim Cramer this morning, or I'm not sure exactly when it was, but take a listen to this interview with Jim Cramer, because I think I want to talk to you guys about the mainstream media, and I think that this is something that you got to listen to.
One other headline that we should be watching right now is Bitcoin, which is under pressure as a sell-off grips the cryptocurrency, which comes right after it hit a record high of 42,000 on Friday. Is this expected to happen after such a rally?
This thing is, there's a belief in it. I believe in it. I have some. But there's a belief that this somehow has a market that is not erratic. I have tried to do a trade in Bitcoin over a weekend, and it's really, really hard to do. And I have like a lot of resources on this. And I think what people have to recognize is this market is not like any other market you've ever seen. We don't know who's buying. We don't know who's selling. We don't know what's going on. We don't know anything about where it's going. So what I have said to do is take something off the table if you're up big, and everybody's still up big at $32, unless you can't, 32,000, unless you unfortunately came in at 42,000. I say unfortunately because I was a seller, and I felt, well, wait a second, it kept going up when I was selling, but my goal was to get my cash out, so I don't have to think about it. So went to 42,000, went to 32,000. I don't care anymore. If it goes back to under 20,000, I'm a buyer again. But I got my cost out, and I'm playing with the house's money. And this is no different from an entirely erratic stock, except for it trades 24/7. I was speaking to Jeffrey Sprecher this morning. He's the CEO of Intercontinental Exchange. They're doing a SPAC that is really, let's say, offloading a big portion, but not all, of their crypto business and also their points business, basically creating a coin base for points in crypto. Very, very exciting.
All right, so that is Jim Cramer, and as you've seen, he's now flip-flopping on Bitcoin. If you listened to Jim Cramer about a month ago, and he was interviewed several times about a month ago, he was super bullish on this concept of Bitcoin. He loved the fundamentals behind Bitcoin. And now what he's doing is he's treating it like a very speculative stock, saying he sold his investment, and he's now playing with casino money. I mean, there is some wisdom there. No one ever died taking a profit, so no one ever went broke taking a profit. But the question is, does this raise into question how the mainstream media deal in crypto? Now, if you remember, guys, I used to host a show on CNBC Africa. It was the world's first televised crypto show. It may come back at some point in time. I may surprise you guys. But I know the inner workings of these media agencies. And my big advice to you guys yesterday was to avoid the mainstream media. Don't listen to the mainstream media. Because if you do listen to the mainstream media, you're getting very shallow news. And there's probably a much better way to get it, and that is to follow people like us and to follow crypto-specific media. And today we're going to guide you through a whole lot of crypto-specific media, but not until I bring in a guest into the studio. His name is Charles Bovard, and he has some strong opinions about crypto media versus traditional media. Charles, welcome to CryptoBanter.com.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Charles, tell us your relationship with the mainstream media.
Well, I'm a Forbes senior contributor. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty straightforward. I've been given a specific, subject matter area to report on, which was originally the markets. I've mostly written about the crypto markets. I've also written about gold. I mean, I've written about the S&P 500 index. I've written stories that involve crypto and the S&P 500 index. So, I mean, I can tell you about my experience.
Okay, so tell me, would you take the advice or the words of the crypto media? And let me tell you why I'm asking you this. Because when I look at the traditional media, not the crypto media, up until now, throughout the whole mini bull market, all they've been airing is amazingly positive stories. I actually want to show you some of these stories. So let's look at CNN. CNN just 3 days ago say Bitcoin tops 40,000 just days after passing 30,000. And the whole article is such a positive article. The price goes down for 1 day. And now they're talking about Bitcoin rally may be the mother of all bubbles. It's actually even got the same headline video. These guys flip-flop between having one view and having another view in the matter of 1 day when the fundamentals haven't changed. Let's look at another one, CNBC. Bitcoin tops 40,000 for the first time, pushing cryptocurrency market value past $1 trillion. The next day, the market goes down. Bond King Jeffrey Gundlach says Bitcoin is trading like it's in a bubble. And this doesn't end. I mean, let's look at Bloomberg. Bloomberg says Bitcoin rallies to record highs, crypto's best. The article is super positive. And then UK regulator warns crypto investors could lose all their money. Where's the journalism in that?
That's an incredibly vague, broad question. Where's the journalism in that? Tell me something. What is a journalist supposed to do?
So I believe that the stations should take a fundamental look at Bitcoin and make a call on the fundamentals and not hop around every time Bitcoin goes up for 3 days, tell us it's a completely bullish story, and then it goes down for 1 day and completely change their view and talk about how we're going to crash to the end of the world. Let me clarify to you why I say that, because the mainstream media are educating people on how to treat this new investment class. And if they flip-flop between being positive and saying Bitcoin is a medium of exchange and growing to saying it's the end of the world for Bitcoin, then the mainstream media are getting mixed messages. And the result is that you get, I'm going to try and find something. Unfortunately, I don't have it, but there was a tweet today that said, when Tesla goes down, it's a healthy correction. When gold goes down, it's a healthy correction. When Bitcoin goes down, it's the end of the world.
The end of the world. We must have many ends of the worlds then. Did the world just was it reborn that many times? Did Thanos show up and like wipe out half the people in the universe and then everything was reset like that many times? Because I mean, there have been multiple bearish articles about Bitcoin, right? So the end of the world. I mean, that sounds very topical. I mean, you could make a movie out of it. Crypto end of the world. What do you think? Somebody wrote a headline somewhere. It's the end of the world.
So, Charles, let me ask you a question. If you're looking for crypto information, and I mean, you're a seasoned guy, you work for a company or you work with Matti, we know you guys have quality research. If you're looking for crypto information, where do you get your information from?
Many different places. I mean, there are a lot of analysts I work with. The thing is, like, you say things, I'm going to make it simple. Like, I don't really box my sources into the mainstream media or the alternative media or, crypto podcast hosts or whatever. I pick people whose information and voice I like, and I follow them. I don't care if they work for CNBC or if they work for, a place that isn't necessarily terribly well known. If they have good information, they have good information.
So I think that works for people like me and you because, we've got time and we live our lives looking for crypto content. But let's look at the newbie investor, the mainstream investor, someone who's trying to come into crypto, and even maybe some institutional investors who, trying to get into this game. Where would you recommend that they actually go and look for meaningful news that is not sensationalist, that doesn't flip-flop between Bitcoin is the best thing in the world to Bitcoin crashing tomorrow and it's the end of the world?
Okay, well, I mean, there's more than one place. I mean, I'll tell you right now, before I worked for Forbes, I worked for CoinDesk, and they're a place that I think has some pretty solid information. I think they have very high standards in terms of the reporting they put out. That's my impression of them. I mean, like everybody else, they've stumbled a few times, but I thought they were pretty good. Past that, I mean, I don't know what to say about sensationalist headlines, but my job is to find and report the truth. So if Bitcoin goes up enough for it to be newsworthy, I might write an article about it. If it goes down enough for me to write an article about it, for it to be newsworthy, I might write an article about it. So,
have you written articles in the last 2 days?
Not really. No, it was a few days ago.
Okay, and was the trend still up a few days ago?
Was the what still up?
Was the trend still up, or were we still going between $35,000 and $40,000 on Bitcoin?
Well, the last time I checked, I mean, it was like a 42K, and then it went down to 30 on the CoinDesk BPI, and then went up to 36. Yeah, so okay. That's where I was the last time I was checking it.
And as someone who writes for Forbes, if you were to write an article today, if you were to write an article in the next 2 days, would it be a positive article or a negative article?
That's once again an incredibly vague, broad question. Is positive or negative factual? Are we talking about science here? I mean, so let me put it this way. If it goes up, okay, if the last thing it did was go up and it went up by a notable amount, I will write about how it went up. Now, if the last thing it did was go down by a notable amount, I'll write about how it went down. I mean, if you read my stuff, I mean, I am a crypto enthusiast. I own digital currencies. I'm optimistic about the space. I don't know why I would follow if I didn't. So I, like everybody else, am going to have some kind of bias. I mean, nobody is completely unbiased. I just don't see how that would be possible. I mean, we all have our own, think about it. There's 7 billion people on the face of the earth. So I have the information that I bring in and how I process it and then how I turn it into an article, just like anybody else who's writing about the space would take in their information and have their own view and have their own voice. So
I got it. So again, for people watching our show, if you were to give them a recommendation of where they should look to get good crypto coverage that is unbiased, that is not hot air, wow, Bitcoin's about to break through $1 million, and also not doom and gloom, who would you recommend that these guys follow?
Are you talking about like individual reporters, or are you talking about, because the thing is, like, you could ask me about, like, okay, so I mentioned CoinDesk. I think, I worked there before. I mean, I think there's some pretty good writers there. I mean, so basically what you're asking is for something that's like middle of the road instead of like overly hyped up or overly negative.
Well, it doesn't have to be one. I mean, look, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is look at Twitter. And then I go onto my favorite crypto media sites, and I'm actually going to show you the stats. So my favorite crypto media sites are Masari. Masari for me is amazing. CoinDesk is amazing. Cointelegraph is very good. Bitcoin.com. I look at the Block Crypto, and then I look at Decrypt. And then, of course, there's a new one that's launching, and we're going to bring in Jason Yanovitz from Blockworks because I saw the product that they launched, and it's an incredible product, and he's going to come up next. I'm just wondering, when you wake up, what do you look at?
Honestly, I might start, if I wanted to do some research into Bitcoin and what's happened over, say, like the last day or the last few hours, I might simply throw Bitcoin into Google News. And then I'll see what comes up, and I'll at least take a look at these articles. And if I think they're, it's worth it for me to continue to keep reading it, I will. And I mean, obviously there's certain journalists whose work I'm familiar with. So I'm going to give more weight to an article written by a person who I actually know and who, I actually trust than somebody.
Amazing. Charles, thank you so much. We're going to move on with the show because we got Jason Yanovitz from the Blockworks Group. Charles, thanks for coming on Crypto Banter.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, as I mentioned to you, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I look at my Blockfolio or my CoinGecko to see how my tokens are doing, to see what the kind of news is that I should expect. And once I've done that and I kind of get the mood for the feel, or the feel of the mood for the day, then it's off to the crypto media sites I go. And these are the crypto media sites that I go to get my information. And yesterday, a friend of mine, Jason Yanovitz from New York City, he told me that he launched something new, and I want to talk to him about crypto media in general and what it is that he actually launched. Jay, welcome to Crypto Banter.
Thanks for having me, my friend.
Yeah. Jay, what do you think of what I was talking about earlier, where I said that the mainstream media outlets are not doing any justice to crypto coverage? Their coverage is very shallow. When the bull market goes up, they bring on the Mike Novogratzes, the pumps, and tell everyone how good it is. And the minute that Bitcoin has one down day, they start giving us doom and gloom and how it's the biggest bubble and you're about to lose all your money. I want to tell you another story. There was an article today that did the rounds in the news about a guy who's lost $240 million on a wallet. He can't access the wallet. There's $240 million of Bitcoin on that wallet. Why do they bring that up when the market is going down? Why didn't they bring it up when the market was at $40,000? How does that all work?
Media, my friend, you got to get some clicks, right? These are advertising and subscription-based businesses, but with advertising-based businesses, it's all about the eyeballs. So what drives eyeballs better than saying somebody has two tries left on their password to get their $200 million out? But, and I disagree with you, by the way. I disagree that the media doesn't cover Bitcoin in a good light. It's just for a different audience, right? Like when you're seeing Bitcoin on Bloomberg, that's oftentimes what 95% of people want to hear about, is just what's the price doing, right? Our thesis is that there's going to be millions of new people who come into the space and they're going to need something better than Bloomberg. But right now, CNBC and Bloomberg's coverage is good enough, right? It's good enough for like 95% of people.
Okay, so say you had a friend who was getting into crypto. Someone of your profile, high school friend, college friend, said to you, look, I'm getting into crypto. I need to make sure that I get a good balanced view and use that view to start building a crypto future or crypto portfolio. What would you recommend them? Where would you recommend that they look? Where do they start?
Ask me this 6 months ago, and I'd say listen to podcasts, right? That's how I got started in the space. When you listen to someone like Michael Saylor talk about MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor didn't share books. He didn't share websites. What he did is he shared YouTube videos and podcasts, right, with his board members, the board of advisors of MicroStrategy. Today, though, I'd send them to Blockworks. I'd send them to blockworks.co. It's the new editorial site that we launched yesterday. We've built a nice business around educating the institutional crowd, larger investors about this space, folks like Michael Saylor. And we've done it through, like I said, podcasts, right? But we realize that now as kind of Bitcoin starts to go more mainstream, there needs to be a better source of information. And so that's what we launched yesterday with blockworks.co.
So I'm going to share my screen now so that our viewers can see more or less what you've launched, but maybe take us through your journey, because when I met you, you were doing podcasts. You were the king of the podcast. You created the Pump podcast. You created a whole lot of other podcasts. What happened between then and launching this new Blockworks project?
The big thing that happened, so we've been around for about 3 years now. We launched as an events business. Yeah, so you can see our new website right here. We launched as an events business. We then launched, we partnered with Anthony Pompliano, Pomp, to launch the what was called Off the Chain, now the Pomp podcast. We have 20 different podcasts in our network. Charlie Shrem's show, Scott Melkers. We worked with Melton Demirs. We worked with Ryan Selkis. We had 20 podcasts. We have 20 podcasts in our network. But look, at the beginning of COVID, we sat down with over 100 investors, right? We sat down with all folks from our audience, our clients, right? Folks like TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, but also the investors, and said, what do you guys need? What do you need to help understand this space? And their problem was, look, if you take your 20-year-old nephew, try to tell him about Bitcoin, there are great resources, right? There are great resources. Things like CoinDesk, things like, the Block and Decrypt, good for a retail audience, right? But if you want to help them understand, if you want to help a more traditional 50-year-old gray-haired hedge fund investor, you want to help them understand the space, there's nothing, right? And so that's what we've been building for the last kind of 6 months here, is an editorial site that will talk to these folks. So we've hired journalists and reporters from places like Bloomberg, Cheddar, American Banker, CoinDesk, and you can see the launch of our new site yesterday.
So what makes the site different from a CoinDesk, from the Block Crypto, from a Masari, and all the Cointelegraph and all the other ones? What makes you guys? Yeah. What makes your content different?
Yeah, I'll preface it by saying I'm big fans of what all of them have built, and they've all moved the space forward in a different way. It's about what we don't talk about. It's not about what we do talk about. It's what we don't talk about, right? If you want to learn about ZK snarks and zero knowledge proofs, we're not the site for that. I went on one of the sites that you mentioned. I went on their site the other day. It said their main header article was Looney Tunes is tweeting about Bitcoin, right? That's good content for millions of people who are kind of more on the retail side of things. It's horrible content for the family office investor who's trying to learn about Bitcoin. So the thing that makes our content differentiated is you'll never find a piece of content on our site that doesn't talk to our target audience, which is the more traditional investor who's recently gotten into Bitcoin. They listened to Anthony Scaramucci call Bitcoin, Gold 2.0, said that Bitcoin is the fastest horse in the race from Paul Tudor Jones, and it's here to stay. They're now interested in the space. Before Blockworks, you couldn't send them CoinDesk. You're not going to send them to CoinDesk where they're learning about plasma protocols and proof of stake and sharding, right? They don't care about that.
So you're going for the more traditional investor, the person who's not going to learn about all the tech out there, and you're bringing them a very clean, credible solution. And I'm assuming that you guys procure it from your own journalists, your own content team, or are you syndicating content?
We have two different strategies, right? So we already have 20 different podcasts, right? And so we're working with the host to put out really high quality content. But yeah, I mean, the gist of it is we've built our newsroom, right? We've built an editorial team who can speak to these folks. So we've hired amazing talent from Bloomberg, Cheddar, American Banker. We've, got some great talent who came from CoinDesk. And then we're also, the third aspect is working with kind of op-eds, right? And contributors. So we have a piece going live on the site later this week or next week from Tyler Winklevoss, working with folks like Mark Yusko, right? People who really know the audience that we're talking to. And we're working with them to put out content that resonates with our audience.
And is the content free, or are there paywalls? I mean,
no, free. So there's one of the other big media companies in the space has paywalled their content. We have one goal. We have one single goal, is to advance this space in a responsible way. By putting up a paywall, you're blocking hundreds of thousands of people from getting access to that content. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you give access? Why wouldn't you let everybody see the content on your site, right?
Surely something has to pay the bills. Are you insinuating that the bills are paid by sponsorship revenue? Is that the revenue model, or ad revenue?
Entirely, yeah. So we have a really nice model, right? So we work with clients such as Fidelity Digital Assets, CME Group, Coinbase, BlockFi. We work with clients who we think would resonate with our audience, right? And so if you take 100 investors, they're asking questions, right? They're saying, who is the best prime broker in Bitcoin and crypto? Where should I custody my assets? So we go out to folks like BitGo, right? And BitGo says, oh my God, I want to reach these people. And our audience says, well, I need a custodian. And so we're basically sitting in the middle of that relationship. We provide value to our clients and the sponsors and the brands because we connect them with the audience that they otherwise can't reach. And we provide value to the audience through amazing content, and then also by connecting them with clients who they want to get in touch with.
So the $1 million question then is, what happens if you are in partnership with BitGo, for example? And I'm using them as an example. I love BitGo. They're a very credible company. But what happens if there's a negative story around BitGo? How do you resolve the conflict to say, look, these guys are our sponsors. They're paying our bills. And there's a negative story that's going to come out there. Say, for example, we thought something bad was going to happen there. How do you balance the two?
You have to report on the story, right? We, above everything else, above the business model, above the sponsorships, is editorial, right? Reporting really tried and true stories that resonate and that matter to our audience, right? So if someone like, a client has a negative story, our editorial team is going to run that, right? Will that potentially hurt sales? Of course it will. But if you want to build a sustainable long-term business, it comes down to one thing, and especially in crypto, which is trust. And so we're in the business of building trust.
Amazing. So let's talk about some stories. What do you think is so far the biggest story of 2021? We hear the beginning of 2021. There's been a great bull market. We've been inundated with amazing news. There's stimulus. We heard that there's potentially a new chairman of the SEC coming in under the Biden administration. What's the biggest story of the year so far?
So far, the biggest story of the year is the fact that Bitcoin fell and that institutions are still piling in. Right. I heard you talking to, I think it was Charles right before this. Yes. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that Bitcoin fell 20%. Nobody cares. So if he's not writing about it, he shouldn't be writing about it. Nobody cares. Right. In other asset classes, the S&P falls 20%. Oh my God. We're hearing about that for months. Right. If Bitcoin falls 20%, it's another day. Right. It's just another day. When on the rise up the last bull market, when we were going from $1,000 to $20,000, Rand, you know how many times Bitcoin fell 30%?
Yeah, we saw it.
Six times.
In fact, I still have the graph. There's the graph of the times that Bitcoin fell more than 30%. In fact, there are 5 times that are more than 30% and once that was 29% or something like that, depending on obviously where you get your news. I wanted to show you this, and I spoke about it earlier. Let me quickly call that up. And that is, of course, you mentioned institutional buying. And that is, of course, that Grayscale hasn't been taking deposits for the last 2 months. They've been in a closed period. And now they're starting to take deposits again. And they're saying here that, A, there's been a lot of interest for our products, but B, give us 2 to 3 weeks to process your request, which means that possibly in 2 to 3 weeks, the biggest buyer of Bitcoin on the market continues to buy.
Of course they do. Why? They're buying because there's demand, right? And right now, institutions and retail and folks, and kind of who sit in the middle of that, like accredited investors, they want access to Bitcoin. And right now, without an ETF, structured products like Grayscale's GBTC are the best way to do that. But what's happening is there's too much buying, and with a fixed supply, it does that's the reason that the price is pushing over 40K, right? Grayscale now holds over 3% of all the Bitcoin in the world. 3%, right? They're seeing interest from pensions. It's not like we can just release new Bitcoin into the world, right? There's a fixed supply. So as this crazy demand comes up, of course, they're going to open more interest. But what becomes kind of scary that I'm a little bit concerned about is as Grayscale a year ago held 1% of the Bitcoin. Now they hold 3% of the Bitcoin. What happens when Grayscale owns 10% of the Bitcoin in the world?
So this is a very interesting thing, because if you look at the Grayscale agreement, there's no redemption in the agreement. So you can buy shares in the trust if you're an accredited investor, and then you can sell them on the open market. And what accredited investors are doing is they're buying the shares in the trust at the net asset value, at the real value. They only get their shares in 6 months because that's the lockup period in terms of US law. And then 6 months later, they sell the shares at a premium to unaccredited investors. And that means that these unaccredited investors who are being protected by the SEC are paying huge premiums to get into Bitcoin, bigger premiums to get into Ethereum, and much bigger premiums to get into Litecoin. And now we have a new SEC president, or potentially we have a new SEC president, and that's Gary Gensler. Have you heard anything about this guy? Do you know anything about him?
Of course, yeah. From what I know, that he's going to be very bullish for crypto. I mean, look, he's a guy who's been ahead of the curve on innovation his entire life, right? And so my understanding, and I'm not the expert on Gary, but what they're doing is, I think, really intelligent, which is they're putting in place a head who believes in innovation. And Bitcoin is not some insane thing. It's just an innovation upon technology, right? And so I'm hoping that Gary understands that all we're talking about here with Bitcoin is a product improvement. And when If you talk to any business out there, government out there, you bring them a product that's 10 times better than their existing product, they're going to say, of course, give it to me. And that's all Bitcoin is, right? It's just a better product.
So you got nothing to worry about there, because this guy is the blockchain professor at MIT. And in fact, I listened to some of his talks earlier today just to see what his thinking was when I heard this news. And he knows everything. He is very, 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 very well versed. He understands this thing. I mean, he's a professor of blockchain. I think it's a bit of a worry for XRP fans, because he's come out blatantly a few times and said, look, XRP, the way it was issued was a security. I think he mentioned as well that XRP may not be a security now, but he did have centralization issues in the beginning. So it may not be as good for XRP as it is for the rest of the crypto world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to comment too much on XRP, but I think the market determines who's the best, what's the best asset class, and what the best technology is. And right now, XRP's and Ripple is not, it's not looking good for them.
So, Joe, I know you're a big Bitcoin man. I know you've been accumulating Bitcoin. I've been watching your tweets. What else are you buying? What else are you accumulating? Are you still just Bitcoin, or have you broadened your horizons of what you buy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like what's happening with Ethereum right now. I have no idea what happens with anything, right? My guess is as good as yours, Rand, which is as good as the folks listening to this. But I think there are too many interesting things happening with Ethereum right now, not to at least pay attention. But yeah, my big focus is still Bitcoin.
And do you ever go further down the chart to Litecoin and Polkadot and Cardano and all those guys, or is that where the universe ends?
That's no. For me, the universe kind of ends with really Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum. But I look at everything else. I know what's happening with Polkadot. I know what's happening with Cosmos. I'm sure there are better ways to make money, but my big focus is on 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what's going to be the best asset class, and really what's going to be the most widely adopted technology, and my thoughts are Bitcoin.
All right, guys, that's Jason Yanovitz. He's the podcast king. If you guys do want to check out his new site, and I've checked it out, it's amazing. It's clean. It's credible. I think they're going to be a big player in this crypto news space. I suggest you go to blockworks.co. Everything is there. It looks amazing. There it is. And remember, this is not for the crypto geeks. This is not where you're going to get your geeky information about ZK snarks and other stuff, but this is more for the mainstream to get into crypto. Is that a good summary, Jay?
You nailed it.
Amazing. Jay, good to see you, man, and we'll chat soon. Thank you for coming.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Cool, buddy.
Have a good one.
Ciao. All right, so that was Jason Yanovitz from the Blockworks group. I think it's amazing what they're doing. When you look at their site is amazing and it's clean. And I'm sure in time it's going to get much more traction. Reminding you guys that I said yesterday, stay away from the mainstream media. Follow people that you trust on Twitter, on YouTube. And then, of course, there's all these good crypto media outlets that we follow, or certainly I follow before I start trading in the day. And in fact, before I start trading in the day, there's always one call that I make every morning at the same time. I make my call to Coach K, and I say, Coach K, what's happening? Coach, I want to ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
Was this a Head and Shoulders?
It could be. I've charted it on my chart here. The thing is I prefer Head and Shoulders that have a left shoulder that's a little bit higher than a right shoulder. It still could definitely play out if we broke this level, this blue level right here, and we broke down, because we're being held down by a Tenkin and the 21-day EMA. Sorry, that's the 12-hour EMA. Sorry. When we go on a high time frame, it doesn't look the same as it does when we go on like the 4-hour, for example. 4-hour looks a little bit more realistic, like it could be one. But I generally like the Head and Shoulders that I saw on YFI when I called that one. And I'll show you the difference between the two, just so you can have a good understanding of what the difference is between one and the other. Let me just go on a high time frame here. So YFI was like super clear. It was the easiest Head and Shoulders you could have had when it actually hit its all-time high. I watched that. The left shoulder is higher than the right shoulder. We had a nice neckline here. We went up, we came down, and the second I saw it come to this level right here, I was like, maybe this is going to be one. And I actually made a live call for that, and I said it's going to probably go down to 12K, and it went a little bit further than that. But you could just see that setup was perfect. So that's what I would be looking at. We go to Bitcoin just to go back to it. And we look at it on a high time frame like the daily. It doesn't really look like one. We can go into like a 4-hour and see, okay, we can kind of see that the neckline is there, but Would it be a head and shoulders? Maybe. Some people will say yes. Personally, I don't think so. It's not my typical head and shoulder, but you can have a left shoulder lower than the right and it still play out. But I would look for, if it does fail as when it comes up here and it does come down below this blue box or this trend line here, then I would be like, okay, that's a head and shoulders. So it would have to confirm first. Is the real truth?
So is it going to happen or isn't it going to happen? Let's go. Is it going to happen or isn't it going to happen?
Personally, I think it could, but is it going to happen? It's hard. It's really hard to say, honestly, Ren. To be completely honest, I don't know.
Okay,
I really don't know on this one. I'm going to wait for it to confirm or not. What I do see is some strength come back in the market. There's some volume starting to pump back in. These long wicks keep getting bought back up. So someone wants this market to stay up, right? It comes down and it goes back up. It comes back down. It comes back up. It comes down. It pushes back up. So someone's pushing this market up and trying to keep it up. Does that mean that we can't drop? No.
Someone is institutions. Someone is institutional capital. We know this because everyone's telling us institutions are getting in. Grayscale's confirmed it again. If someone is institutions, and if it is institutions, then the price is going to stay up. It may go down by $1,000 or $2,000, but it's going to stay up. I want to just talk about two other things before we carry on. So first of all, if you guys want to join us on the hour, we're going to start a new stream. And on that new stream, we're going to be talking a beginner's guide to TradingView. And that is because our community said to us, look, we don't know how to use TradingView. We don't know how to open the charts. We don't know how to draw on the charts. We don't know how to draw the fancy lines. So today we've got a beginner's guide to TradingView. And that's what Coach K is going to help us with. Also, I promised you guys that I would give away 1,000 Cardano, but I'm going to give away a few of them now. Let's go into the chat. If you are in the chat, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and smash. All right, so Joanna Laning, you have got yourself 100 Cardano. Let's have a look at who else. Come on, guys, smash. Ooh, Sunil says Coach is very handsome. I have to give him 100 Cardano for that, right? Coach, he said you're very handsome.
Thank you very much.
So there's a whole lot more. I'm going to be giving away a whole lot more, but keep pounding that like button and pounding that subscribe button. Now, Coach, before we carry on, yesterday, for people who watched our show, we broke news that the Elrond protocol was using a protocol called Fire Protocol to do their cross-chain integration on their DeFi system into the Huobi chain. When I looked at Fire Protocol had a market cap of about $1 million. So what I thought I'd do is I'd get the guys from Fire Protocol onto our show to tell us what Fire Protocol is actually all about. So I've got Danny with us. Coach, I'm going to put you in the waiting room for a second, if you don't mind, just so we can get Danny some limelight. Danny, welcome to Crypto Banter.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah. Good. Danny, we saw this announcement yesterday, and of course we all know Elrond and we love Elrond, but question is, who is Fire Protocol?
All right. Thanks for the invitation first, and just give you a quick overview. Fire Protocol essentially is a native protocol on Huobi's new smart chain, which is called Echo Chain, Echo in short. And we have three main products. One is a decentralized exchange, which is very similar to Uniswap. We also have a lending and borrowing money market, which is kind of similar to a Compound, kind of. And we also have a cross-chain wrapping, so cross-chain solution where we currently able to onboard any Ethereum assets onto Echo, onto Huobi's smart chain. And working hard, to also enable other chains such as Polkadot or Tron to wrap those assets onto Huobi chain. Also,
why did you guys choose Huobi chain? What is it? Why didn't you just build something onto Ethereum or onto DOT or onto Cardano or onto Binance? Why did you guys go specifically for Huobi chain?
Well, we had some connections within our communities, which enabled us basically to build very early on Huobi testnet. Okay, so because of that, we started early and we built early and we launched actually together with Huobi mainnet. So when my friend in China asked me if I wanted to join, I found that very exciting. Can be the first mover on a new chain, so definitely that's something to look forward to. So that's kind of the main reason.
So tell me, who are the guys building, and then we'll talk about exactly what it is that you're building. And I want to get into the detail of it because I want to know whether there's value in this token above the $1 million market cap that we currently have, or I think maybe it's got $1.4 million market cap. Danny, are you there? Danny, can you hear us?
Oh, we have 15 to 20 people. Oh, sorry.
So you are 15 to 20 people. Who are the main drivers of this chain?
Sorry.
So you say you're 15 to 20 people. Who are the main people or the main figures? Give us some background about the team.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. It was just like, I think my internet just went down. So can you repeat, please?
Yeah, so who are the people in the team? You say you're 15 to 20 people.
Okay.
Can you give us the background of who these people are?
Yes, actually, some people are related to the tech team from Hecko. So that's why we are able to have some decent insights on how to develop on it. The other guys are solid tech team out of China. So they are also run by our CTO, which is Graham, out of Hong Kong. So he's actually a professor also on Hong Kong University. I think he's giving some blockchain courses there as well. So he's a super smart guy. Every time I talk to him, it's like, you learn for your life. So I think it's a great combination, and that early access, allowed us actually to build something very solid in a very short time, and we pushed hard, literally hard. So we had the DEX ready about 3 weeks ago. So we launched together with the mainnet, Huobi mainnet, and recently we launched a lending and borrowing market. So pretty exciting.
And how's the adoption of your product? You say you launched the DEX and you launched lending. How's adoption? Have people been using your DEX?
Yes, we have a lot of demand to use the DEX because all the Ethereum gas fees currently, which you experience if you use Uniswap, for example. So in general, Huobi chain is fairly new, right? So they launched about maybe 3 weeks ago or so. So they have a very similar grant program like Binance Chain, and will probably do similar marketing and try to onboard a lot of developers. So however, for every new chain, it's a little bit, it will take some time. We actually a lot of people knew about Huobi Smart Chain because of us. So that's actually kind of the funny part here. But anyway, so we will also drive users to our native chain. We will have a migration to Hecko end of January. So at the moment, we actually plan a liquidity mining program on Uniswap first, and then later offer that on our FireSwap DEX with the migration. So kind of lure people from Ethereum to our own to the native chain on our own DEX.
Amazing. So to our viewers out there, the token is called Fire Protocol. Today, at the price of 28 cents, it has a $1.5 million market cap. So it's a very, very, very small market cap token. It's got 100 million circulating supply, of which 5 million are in the market today. So keep an eye out on that when you're doing your valuation. And yeah, if you want to get in early, this may be a chance. Go and do your own research. I think we've done the introduction. Danny, thank you for coming on Crypto Banter.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the invitation.
Amazing. Coach, I'm going to bring you back here. Danny, thank you so much. Coach, would you be buying that?
Would I be buying Fire Protocol?
Yeah.
Or what? I don't know. It seemed to have like a okay start out the gate. I would like to see a little bit more adoption, a little bit more holders in like increase. If you look on like DEX tools, you can see how many holders are. I do know someone on the team, Corey. So I do hope they do really well. But at this point, there's things that are a little bit more hot, I guess you could say. And there's also a lot of DEXs. That's the only thing I have as a problem. I could have invested in this, and I just felt there was a little bit too many DEXs at this point. So, and Uniswap has just got the liquidity. So until we see some of that change, I would probably stick with the guys that have the most liquidity, because that's, as a trader, that's the most important thing for me.
Alrighty. So let's talk about your small cap gems. You've got a whole lot of gems that you told us you're looking at today. We've got about minutes left of this show. And then a big reminder to you guys, if you want to join our next show, it's an amazing show. We're going to be teaching you guys how to wash your hair with Head & Shoulders shampoo. No, actually, we're going to be teaching you guys how to chart with the trading view. A lot of you guys have been asking, and we're going to be doing that for you guys today. All right, Coach, let's talk about what views are. Remember, we are very limited on time. We've got about
I'll smash through them. I'll do it really quick. Okay, so one trade I see set up pretty perfectly right now is VRA Veracity. Right now, we got an easy trade here. If you're watching, basically, if this candlestick closes as a 3 inside up, right? So basically, if it closes above this, what would be a red candlestick normally, I might win blue and white. I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. If it closes outside and above that candlestick, you would want to enter on the retest of the cloud. So right around, 0.00095. So you're going to go in around there. And what we're looking for is us to come first step, this level at 0.0011. And then our second level up here, just a basic straight up Kumo breakout retest trade. You have your Chiku span that's bullish. You have a bullish TK. You have bullish TK cross. You see the cloud tightening, so it's likely going to turn from red to green, which is bullish. So we got a really nice trade setting up on VRA. Gonna smash to the next one. We have VET. VET's a lot of people's favorites on this show. You guys really enjoy it, and we have again a really easy trade. So this is called Kijin bounce. So this red line is the Kijin. We bounced off of that. It would have been a great entry right here or off this level right there. And now it's still a valid trade. You wouldn't have missed too much yet. We have again a bullish TK cross. We have a bullish Kumo twist that happened down here. We're above the cloud, and we have a Chiku span that's bullish. So this would be a really good one to look at. And the thing about VET on USDT, there's really not much further up that it can go. So we'd be looking at a little bit of price discovery on the USDT pair here. Keep on smashing along. All right, because we only have a couple minutes. So Strax, they just released an STO platform. That's good.
We didn't hear. Is that Stratus?
Yeah.
Stratus. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the
Strax? It's called Strax now. They rebranded. They have a new token called Strax. They were $22 at one point, guys, and they have a lot of bullish news coming out with it. I've been reading. It's not in a perfect setup for me normally, but I keep seeing it try to break this level right here and not being able to do so. So I entered down off this level right here, and I think that we're going to try and push towards at least 52 cents, and very likely we could see this, because all the other alts are starting to move. This could be one of the alts that moves to like a couple dollars. You can quote me on that. It could definitely happen. So keep your eyes on that. Theta token. Okay, so Theta token is giving me two bullish signals. One, Kijin bounce trade, the same thing as I saw on the other charts. We're seeing similar patterns play out. We have a very strong bullish candlestick right here that if it closes, it's kind of breaking that downtrend. And then we go right to Theta BTC, and we have a Kumo breakout retest trade set up perfectly. So Theta is a definite buy for me if you're not in it. Might be a good one to wait for it to retrace a little bit, but that is a buy for me right now. Now, this is one I want to show you guys because we'll end on this one and we can do other ones later. But Ren BTC had 3 dives, basically 3 taps off this level before it broke up to this level in the past. And I think we're about to see Ren BTC, especially with BTC kind of going sideways, we're likely to see this happen for a second time. It did 3 dives off that same level, and I think that it's starting to get that bullish push towards moving higher. And I think if we do move higher, we're probably going to come up to this nice level at 2100 sats, which is an 80% move from where I entered, and it's still probably about a 70-something% move. So if this is something that you like, Ren is a great platform fundamentally, and it's definitely not caught up to some of the other alts that have been moving. Ren might be the one that you want to take a quick look at and say, this is a good hold for a little bit. Okay, so I'll end there.
all that only happens if Bitcoin continues to run. Of course, if the Bitcoin price comes down, all of these charts are going out the window. All right, Coach, we're going to let you go and join the next stream. And for Coach, when you do join the next stream, can you increase the font size on your computer because it's very, very small, and a lot of our viewers are complaining that they can't really see the font. You do that in the settings menu. Yeah, so it's you have to
increase, like zoom in. You mean?
zoom in or actually change the whole screen resolution. Coach, we're going to let you go to the next stream so that you can do it. For anybody who is watching us right now, join our next show. It's the Trading for Beginners on TradingView. And it's really like the ABCs of getting into TradingView, how to open the charts, how to choose which server to look for, how to get the lines drawn. A lot of our viewers don't know that, and we want to bring you that information because a lot of you are relying on the chart. So for the last time, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to log off this stream and I'm going to log into a new stream. The new stream is in the comments, so click the comments and you guys can join, or just go to our YouTube channel, which is cryptobanter.com, and it will be the next live stream. I'm going to see you guys again tomorrow, same time, same place, 10 a.m. EST, where I'm going to bring you live trading content so that you guys can make money. I'm Crypto Man Run. See you tomorrow, and if you are trading, trade well, my friends.
Crypto Banter is a social podcast for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers should not be construed as financial advice. Views expressed by guests and hosts do not reflect the views of the station. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research.